When it comes to modern design, it's usually associated with high-tech innovations as of late. That's why when people first see this watch, they think it's a crazy new looking Apple Watch because of the floating subdials. But then they realize it isn't digital. In fact, this mesmerizing design is fully mechanical. That is when people start to wonder, how does this make sense? How are the subdials floating and rotating on the dial without it being a digital display? The first time we witness everything in motion is when we understand why Ressence is a coveted design house that reimagines how objects like mechanical watches can function. That is when everything starts to get really interesting. Before we take a look at how this is possible and how this watch functions, let me share with you guys what I mean by floating subdials. As you can see, we can manually rotate the entire dial, which is actually what happens at a much slower pace when left to work on its own. Now, the way we rotate everything so we can set everything is with a lever that detaches from the back, as you can see here, so we can rotate everything so we can set everything we need. Now, the way we set the watch is you have to rotate it both ways. However, you need to turn it slowly as suggested in the case back. Now, to wind the watch and set the time, you have to rotate the lever to the right, and to set the day, you can rotate it to the left. First thing we see is the hours, second we have the minutes, third we have the day of the week, and the fourth we have a running seconds hand. Now, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but because of that very cool minimal design, you actually get used to it pretty quickly. Now, the movement inside all Ressence watches is an ETA base with a unique orbital system for displaying the time, also known as ROCS, the Ressence Orbital Convex System. Now, the orbital display system uses an arrangement of satellite gears to carry the dial, showing different elements of time, hours, minutes, seconds, or more depending on the watch around a main rotating dial. Now, this crazy visual effect is achieved by filling the upper chamber of the watch with a transparent oil that has the same optical properties as a sapphire crystal. Now, as of late, Ressence has branched out, producing watches with the ROCS system with an air-filled upper chamber, allowing for greater range of experimentation in visual effects and finishes. Now, allow me to introduce to you guys 3 different Ressence watches while giving you guys my feelings of each and every one of them and giving you guys specs as well. Now, this is the Ressence Type 1 Navy. This one has the 42mm case, 13mm thickness, and it has a domed sapphire crystal with AR coating. Now, as you guys can see, it has wired lugs, which is actually really nice. It gives it more of a modern feel to it, and I really like this one. This is actually my favorite out of the 3, and it looks absolutely stunning on the wrist. Now, up next, we have the Ressence Type 1 Slim. Now, as the name suggests, this is actually the slimmest out of all of them at 11mm thickness or lack of, and it has a 42mm case. Now, as you can see, the case design is very modern. It looks like it has no lugs, which actually makes it very wearable. As you guys can probably see here on my wrist, out of the 3, this is actually the most wearable one, and it actually has a very cool case design to it. Now, up next, we have the Ressence Type 1 Square. Now, this is probably my least favorite out of the 3, and I'll explain to you guys in a second why, but this one has kind of a cushion case, very similar to a Panerai, so if you're looking for something a bit more interesting than a Panerai, I would personally go with this one. Now, the reason why it's not my favorite, I feel like that square shape kind of disrupts from the orbital system. Everything is round, so having something that's square kind of disrupts the design a little bit, but that's just my personal opinion. I like the other 2 a lot more. Actually, the Type 1 Navy was my favorite. Now, with that being said, this one is actually a bit smaller than the others. Although not noticeable, this one has a 41mm case, so you guys can see here on my wrist it actually fits extremely well. But guys, if you're interested in any Ressence watch, make sure you check out ExquisiteTimepieces.com. Exquisite Timepieces are an authorized dealer for many brands such as Ressence, but they also have other brands like Grand Seiko, Omega, Breguet, Blancpain, and many other brands. And they also have really cool pre-owned watches, so make sure you check them out. But guys, hopefully you enjoyed this review. Please add in the comment section below what you think about these watches. And guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.